All right, we got to start absolute value inequalities. So we've been solving absolute value equations. Now we got to do inequalities. What's the difference between an equation and an inequality? Okay, one has an equal sign, one has an inequality sign. What does that mean for your answers? Like when you solved your problems on the boards. Oh, okay, so, didn't some people get 2 on the boards though? You can get 1, or you can get none, or you can get 2. Okay, that's when we're solving equations. What about inequalities? Yes, why? What does the answer for an inequality look like? Yeah, x is greater than 5, and then we've been writing those as intervals, right? So with inequalities, you get a range of answers. You don't get just one answer. So with equations, let's say equals, and I'm going to put solutions, but with the S in parentheses, meaning that you could have 1 solution, you could have 2 solutions, but we equal our solutions in an equation. We are exactly equal to those numbers. In an inequality, you have, let's see, how do I want to say this? We have a solution set, or a range of solutions. So you have multiple numbers that could be a solution within a certain range. You have like you end the problem with equaling 1 solution or equaling 2 solutions. Like you equal the different solutions. You're only equal to those solutions. In an inequality, you have a solution set. So like a window of numbers or a range of numbers that you could be. So absolute value inequalities, you have to decide whether the situation is an and or an or based on the inequality sign. And I'll put an important note here, and you probably should too, after isolating the absolute value. So you always want to isolate the absolute value first, then you'll decide if it's an and or an or, and that's going to help you when you finish the problem figure out what your answer looks like, kind of like we've been doing on the openers, okay? The way we remember and or, we talk about Goreland. Yep, Goreland. So if it's greater than, that's going to be an or. And if it's less than, that's going to be an and. So Goreland, greater than is an or, less than is an and. My last class also talked about greater. If it's greater than, it's an or, and then less than is an and. They also talked about that, greater land. Whatever you have to do to remember it, there we are. I remember Goreland, and when I was doing these problems, I was saying that every single time, Goreland, 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 trying to figure out what it was. So looking at number 1, is our absolute value isolated? Yes. So is it greater than or less than? Less than. And Goreland tells me less than is an and. So circle and. No. Let's go, since we have the absolute value isolated already, let's do the piecewise definition. So we've got x plus 5, comma, and then we've got negative x plus 5, comma. What does the plus 5 inside the absolute value bars do to your graph? Moves it left 5. So where are we starting our graph? Negative 5, comma 0, right? Yes.
Can we just put negative 5 minus 5?
Negative x minus 5? Yeah. That's fine. As long as it's equivalent. So the first domain, so your positive slope happens to the right side of negative 5, so greater than or equal to negative 5. And then we've got x is less than negative 5 for your ray with your negative slope. Same thing we've been doing when we're solving absolute value equations. Now it's going to get a little bit different. Whatever is on the right side of your inequality is going to stay when you split this into your 2 different parts for piecewise. So my first equation is going to come from x plus 5, and I'm using the domain as x is greater than or equal to 5. Negative 5, sorry. I'm going to state the domain first, x is greater than or equal to negative 5, with a colon and an underline, meaning I'm going to do this domain's work right here. And then again, I'm going to set the x plus 5, and then I'm going to look back at my original problem and finish it with the less than 3. So the piecewise becomes the left side. Whatever was on the right side in your inequality to begin with is your right side. How do I solve that? Subtract 5. And what do I get? X is less than negative 2. Save that for later. When I'm setting up my next piece, I'm going to take my domain, which is, I'm going to bring it down here, x is less than negative 5, ... underline. I'm going to take my piecewise part, which was negative parentheses x plus 5, and then I'm going to take the right side of my inequality, which was less than 3. That's what I'm solving for that part of my piecewise, and I'm going to be quiet while you solve that real quick. Remember what you learned in Algebra 1 with solving inequalities. Do you? So we already have some people talking about it. When you divide by a negative or you multiply by a negative on both sides, you have to change your inequality sign. So right here, it doesn't matter what the 8 is because that's in the numerator. It matters what's in the denominator. If that's a negative 1, then I need to change less than to greater than. Word of caution, be careful with your negatives. So like number 2 on the boards, we missed that negative from the original problem. That will derail your entire problem for these. So be careful with your negatives. Likewise, if you end up with something weird, maybe go back and check your signs, because that might be what happened. Now, let's put this on a number line, just like we've been doing in the opener. So if I put this on a number line, where am I going to put my number line? I'll put it over here. My answers are x is less than negative 2 and x is greater than negative 8. Which number goes on the left? Negative 8. Which number goes on the right? Negative what? 2. My first solution was x is less than negative 2. How do I graph that? Open circle on negative 2 to the left, all the way to the left. How do I graph x is greater than negative 8? Open circle on negative 8 to the right. What kind of situation is this? What kind of compound inequality is this? It's an and. So if it's an and, I have to live where both of my solutions happen. Where's that? Where is it? From negative 8 to negative 2. Hey, guess what else? We got to write our answers in inequality notation. I know you love this. Give me an answer in interval notation. I'm so sorry. Did I say inequality? Yeah. Interval notation. Negative 8 what? Negative 2. Okay. Comma between them. Okay. Parentheses on both? Yep, because none of them are equal. Hey, what does that look like? It looks like an ordered pair. Is it an ordered pair? No, you're telling your reader my answers are anywhere from negative 8 to negative 2, not including negative 8 and not including negative 2. Let's look at this graph. So if we're graphing the absolute value of x plus 5, this slope won't change, right? It's a positive 1 on the right side, negative 1 on the left side, yes. It's more important that you visualize this instead of like try to keep up. Like if you can keep up, awesome. If it's better for you just to look at it while we're looking at it, then that would be good. Let's talk about the right side. What's the right side? It's just the absolute value of x plus 5. You need to visualize it. If it's better for you just to look at it, then great. What's on the right side of our inequality? The original. The original? The absolute value of x plus 5 is less than 3. How do I graph 3? Horizontal line at 0, 3. Here we are. If our original problem is the absolute value of x plus 5 is less than 3, where are you less than this horizontal line? You got this horizontal line. Where's less than that? Below it. So all you're answering for this question is, where is my absolute value V shape under my line? And notice, if I look, this is below, this is below, this is below. Hey, what is this X value? -8. Oh, what is this X value? -2. And where's my V shape under my line? In between them. So when you find this solution here, this number line, it should look like the x-axis does when you look at it graphically. Make sense? Ready to do the next one? Yeah? Who thinks, okay, is this an and or an or? It's, remember Goreland? It's greater than, so it's an or. This is an or. Who thinks they could solve this one on their own? Oh dear. Okay, we'll start with the piecewise. We've got parentheses x plus 5, comma, and then you've got negative parentheses x plus 5, comma. Oh, what does the plus 5 do to my equation? Left 5, so where am I starting? At -5. So the positive slope ray is going to be greater than or equal to -5, and then the negative slope ray is going to be less than -5. From there, for my first equation, I'm going to take my first domain and say x is greater than or equal to -5, dot, dot, underline. And then I'm going to take my first piecewise and say, okay, x plus 5. And then I'm going to take the right side of my original inequality, which was greater than or equal to -3. And that's what we set up. I'm going to set up the other one real quick, and then I'll let you have time to solve it, okay? So my other one is my other domain, so I'm going to say x is less than -5, dot, dot, underline. My piecewise is negative times x plus 5 in parentheses, and the right side of my equation, or my inequality, is greater than or equal to 3. I'm going to give you about a minute. You guys solve both of those on your own. X is greater than or equal to -2. X is less than or equal to -8. Did we get the sign change? Yeah? Ready for our number line? So when you're solving equations, you're good if you just do the domain piece and then you box it, because that's one solution. This is going to give me a range of solutions, so I have to put it on a number line and put it in interval notation to finish this question. So number line, just like the last one, -8 and -2. How do I graph x is less than or equal to -8? Closed circle, which way? Left. And what about greater than or equal to -2? Closed circle, right. What kind of compound inequality was this? An or, so where do my solutions live? The outside. So I've got left of -8 and right of -2. What's the smallest x I can have in my solutions? -infinity. And then the next x. -8. What do I put on that? Bracket, because it is equal to. So bracket. And then what do I put here? The U for what? Union. And then tell me what to write next. Bracket -2. Infinity parentheses. That is your answer. That is where you can stop. Hey, what do we notice about this one? Isn't it kind of the same as the last one? Except the absolute value of x plus 5 this time is greater than or equal to 3. If we look at our graph, our V shape is above that line at 3 on the outsides of -8 and -2. So it was just like the last one, except you're finding where your absolute value is above that line. Questions? From here on, including on your quiz tomorrow, the graphs are going to be provided for you if you want to try to make sense of the problem or you want to check yourself. You do not have to use the graphs for these. And we probably will not use the graphs for these. Number 3, what do I do first? Plus 4. Got to undo addition and subtraction before you undo multiplication. So 1/2 absolute value of x plus 1 is what? Less than 2, okay? And last thing I need to do to isolate my absolute value. Multiply by 2 on both sides. What are you not going to multiply by 2? what's inside the bars, because the bars are already multiplied by 1/2, so they're taken care of. 2 times 1/2 just gives us 1. You're not going to see that 1 because there's the absolute value of x plus 1 next to it. And then that's less than what? 4. Now, in the last step, if you had decided to multiply by a -2 because maybe your 1/2 was negative, don't forget you have to flip your sign in that case. But the 2 is positive, so we don't have to flip our sign. We are ready for the piecewise definition here. What should the top equation say? X plus 1. Hey, what does the plus 1 do to your graph? Moves it left 1, so what should your domain be? X is greater than or equal to -1. And give me the bottom. Okay. Good. X is less than -1. Perfect. If you're still having trouble with the piecewise definition, we need to have a chat, whether that's in tutoring, in class, whatever, we need to have a chat. So for my first equation, I'm going to take the first domain and say x is greater than or equal to -1, ... underline. That's me saying this is my work for this domain piece. I'm going to take the left part of my piecewise function, which is x plus 1, and then the right side of my inequality after I got my bars by themselves. So that's less than 4. I'll write the other one, and then I'll give you time to solve. My other one has a domain of x is less than -1. Piecewise part is negative times x plus 1. And again, right side of my inequality is less than 4. I'll give you about a minute to solve both of those. That's not something. Quit. Okay. We forgot to mention, is this an and or an or? An and, why? It says less than 4. So this right here tells me it's an and. If I'm doing this problem, I'm going to circle this so I don't forget what it is. I'm going to write and as soon as I know, and I'm going to circle it. If it's an and, let's put these on a number line. Oh man, where can I squeeze my number line? I'll put it up here. Oh, and. Okay. What goes on the left? -5, and on the right should be 3, yes? What's it look like to be greater than -5? Open circle on -5 to the right. What about less than 3? Open circle to the left. And this is an and, so where do my solutions live? In the middle where both of them happen. And last part, let's do interval notation. I think maybe I can squeeze it at the bottom. Yeah, I'll squeeze it, like down here. What's the lowest x you can be? -5, so -5. Hey, why did I put parentheses right there? Because you can't equal it, and then my next number is 3, and that gets a what? Parentheses. And you doing absolute value inequalities, you're practicing absolute value equations. So if you feel pretty okay about these, and you felt pretty okay with the ones you done on the board, then you should feel pretty okay about your quiz tomorrow. Ready for the last one? Scream if you're not. All right, what do I do first? Divide by 3. So I have absolute value of 2x plus 1 is less than 2. Is this an and or an or? And, because it's less than. Notice I didn't do that until I got my bars by themselves. The second I got the bars by themselves, I circled what it is. So make sure we're doing that. And then from here, let's talk about the absolute value of 2x plus 1. What do I have to do there? I got to factor out that 2. So 2 times what would give me 2x? X. 2 times what would give me 1? 1 what? 1/2. And what's that plus 1/2 do to my graph? Moves it left by 1/2. So where am I going to be starting my graph? Close? You're moving left. -1/2, right? So this will be 2x plus 1 for all the x's that are greater than or equal to -1/2. Negative times 2x plus 1 for all the x's that are less than -1/2. We didn't have to switch the arms because there's no negative on our x. There's no ROI, so we didn't have to switch the arms. So now I'm going to take my first domain, which is x is greater than or equal to -1/2, ... underline. I'm going to take my piecewise, which was 2x plus 1 and the right side of my inequality where I got the bars by themselves, less than 2. The next one is going to be when x is less than negative 1/2. The piecewise negative times 2x plus 1. And then the right side of my inequality was less than 2. I'll give you maybe a little bit longer than a minute to solve these because they're a little bit more involved. Need a little bit longer. That's good. Number line? Number line? Close on this one. It's just one. Alright, I see a lot of people, so I can already tell you your most common mistake here is going to be box x is less than 1/2 and box x is greater than negative 3/2 and forget to go number line. So we got to go number line. What's on the left side of my number line? Negative 3/2, and then on the right side will be 1/2, bless you. What's it look like to be greater than negative 3/2? Open circle, which way? To the right. What about less than 1/2? Open circle left. Which situation was this? An and, so where are my solutions? Between negative 3/2 and 1/2. So then to finish this problem, you have to put it in interval notation. I don't have room for that. Okay. Oh, I'm just marking everywhere. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll squeeze it at the bottom. Negative 3/2 gets a parentheses because you're not equal. And then comma 1/2 gets a parentheses because you're also not equal. That I can already tell is going to be our most common mistake besides negatives, is not remembering to finish the problem. Tomorrow we'll do the second page of our notes, and then we've got a squares and cubes quiz at 12:05. So you have a little over 20 minutes. Study your squares and cubes. Remember, you should be going which way?
Opposite.
Backwards. You should be going like, you should say 1,000 equals and be able to tell me what that is. And then homework. Let's work on our homework and make sure we don't have any questions on that before we leave.